Now we are on to chapter 10, Coding and Testing, of Dr. Rajiv Mal's book on software engineering. The first is distinguish between error and failure, and testing detects which of these two and justify your answer. We have learned about error and failure in the theory section. So the failure is the manifestation of an error or said defect or a bug. So failure is the result of an error, and the testing it will detect the failure. What happens that the exact cause of failure, that is the error, has to be determined through debugging, because error may be present there, but it may not cause or it may not be resulting in a failure, but error will always have a possibility of creating a failure. Second is, right, or what are driver and stub modules in the context of integration and unit testing of a software product, and why are these stub and driver modules, they are required actually. So these modules, they're required to provide a necessary environment. you know One will call another, one will be called, so either call or be called by some module under test. They are usually not available until they too have been unit tested. So we have these stubs and drivers. They are designed to provide a complete environment for a module. You want to test a module, we don't have those modules which are ready. For that, we create stubs and the drivers. And the stub procedure is a dummy procedure that has the same input output parameter as a given procedure, but very simplified behavior, because input output and the answer, the inputs in the form of parameters and output in the form of return. For an instance, a stub procedure may produce the expected behavior using a simple table lookup mechanism only. You can have a table. You don't have to make exact module or a function like that. It will just take value from some table. But a driver module would contain the non-local data structures, which is accessed by the module under test, and would also have the code to call the different functions of the module with the appropriate parameter values. So what happens if this module is there and it is calling or giving rise to these modules which are not ready? So we make the stubs here. Or if this is being called by any module, upper level module, then we create a driver for this module. So we are testing this module. For that, we require the called one to be a driver, and the calling one to be driver, and the called one to be stubs. We have to state true and false, and reasoning with proper reasoning. The effectiveness of a test suite in detecting errors in a system can be determined by counting the number of test cases in the suite. Well, this is very intuitive. The answer would be false, because the test cases detect the same errors. If we design so many test cases or create so many test cases and they are detecting the same errors, then the simple count would be rather misleading as far as test cases are concerned. B. Once the Maccabe cyclomatic complexity of a program has been determined, it is very easy to identify all the linearly independent parts of the program. And this is false. You know why? This is false because if just by computing the cyclomatic complexity of a program, it would not be very easy to identify all the linearly independent parts of the program. There may be other possibilities also. C is use of static and dynamic program analysis tools is an effective substitute for thorough testing. Well, this answer is somewhat near to false, but in today's scenario, static and dynamic program analysis tools are such that they are actually testing the program or your software thoroughly. But this is misleading that use of static and dynamic program analysis tools is an effective substitute. The thorough testing for those projects which can a simple problem or error may create a catastrophe, for that thorough testing is required. D. During code review, you detect errors, whereas during code testing, you detect failures. Code review, errors; code testing, you detect failures. And this is absolutely correct or true, because during code review, the errors are that the errors can be directly spotted on the code. Whereas during this course testing, we find out the problems of this error, or we detect the problems of this or the consequences of these errors, which are the manifestation of error, which are the failures, and then we debug, because it becomes necessary if we identify the errors. E is a pure top-down integration testing, does not require the use of any stub modules, and this is again false, because even if you apply top-down, you require stubs. You apply bottom-up, you will require drivers. So a pure top-down integration testing does not require the use of any driver modules. Actually, will not require at all. So adherence to coding standards is checked during the system testing stage. Adherence to coding standards. Now this is false, because adherence to coding standards like MISRA C, MISRA C++, and JSF, etc. is checked before unit testing through code inspections. There is static tools which are available. They check for these coding standards without even running the program. G. A program can have more than one linearly independent path. Yeah, this is of course true. A program can have more than one linearly independent path, because the upper bound on the number of linearly independent path of a program is the cyclomatic complexity for the program. This is the upper bound. The question H, or true false H, that is the number of test cases required for branch coverage based testing of a program can be greater than those required for path coverage based testing of the same program. And this is false, because the number of test cases required for path coverage testing of a program, this can be greater than those required for branch coverage based testing of the same program. I. Branch coverage based testing is a stronger testing strategy compared to path coverage based testing, and this is false, because we have seen in the discussion also that the path coverage based testing, this can detect errors that are not detected by the branch coverage based testing. Path coverage based testing detects more error. J. Out of all types of internal documentation that is provided in the source code, careful commenting is the most useful, right? But the answer is false, because all internal documentation is which is done inside your code. So out of all the type of internal documentation which is in the source code, the meaningful variable names are the most useful. Then K, error and failures are synonymous in software testing terminology. We have talked about error and failure a lot, and we know that failure is nothing but the manifestation of an error or a defect or a bug. So these two are not similar. Next one, development of suitable driver and stub functions are essential for carrying out effective system testing of a product, and this is false, because now we are talking about system testing. System testing is only carried out when the system is fully integrated. So no driver or stub modules are actually necessary here during system test processing. M. System testing can be considered as a white box testing. This is again false, because system test cases they test the functionality of the system as you have written in SRS document. So they are pure black box tests. System testing is pure black box testing. N. The main purpose of integration testing is to find design errors. No. The main purpose of integration testing is to find the interface errors among modules. Once you test the modules, unit test you have performed, now you want to check the interfacing between the modules. For that you do integration testing. Oh. Introduction of additional edges and nodes in this CFG, that is control flow graph, due to introduction of sequence type of statements in the program, can increase the cyclomatic complexity of the program. Is it true? No, it is false, because if you introduce additional edges and nodes in this control flow graph due to introduction of sequence type of statement in the program, it has no effect on the cyclomatic complexity of the program. Next one, the terms software verification and software validation are synonyms. No, verification and validation, they are entirely different terms. Verification is whether you are making the product right. Validation is whether you are making the right product. Okay, so software verification concerns checking whether the output of one phase conforms to the preceding phase, while the validation checks that the fully functional system it conforms to the SRS, that is the specification which are provided by the user. Then the main purpose of integration testing is to find design errors. No, again we have seen this is wrong. Integration testing is used to find the interfacing errors between the modules. Code walkthrough for a module is normally carried out after unit testing is over. This is false because code walkthrough is carried out just before unit testing. Before you can even start unit testing, you perform the code walkthrough. Then code walkthrough for a module is normally carried out after the module successfully compiles, and this is true. S. During code walkthrough, most of the system syntax errors are identified. This is false. Why? Because even your compiler, those IDEs which are using right now, like Visual Studios and all those Java stuffs, they can easily catch the syntax errors. So code walkthrough is carried out only after the code successfully compiles. It has to remove the syntax errors, then only code walkthrough can begin. What is the difference between black box testing and white box testing? Means the functional testing and the structural testing. In black box testing, the test cases are designed for an examination of input-output values only, and no knowledge of the design of the internal structure or code is required. And in this white box testing, the test cases are designed which in turn require you to have a thorough knowledge about the internal structure of the software. Next is, what is the difference between internal and external documentation? What are the different ways of providing internal documentation? Out of these, which is most useful? Internal documentation, which is inside your code. This is the documentation is the code comprehension features provided as part of the source code itself, like comments, etc. So all other type of documents, they are called external documents. This internal document is also provided through the use of, say, meaningful variable names, the module, the function headers, the code indentation like right braces, code structuring, use of enumerated types, constant identifier, use of user-defined data types, etc. Sixth, what is meant by structural complexity of a program? Structural complexity of a program. Define a metric for measuring the structural complexity of a program. How is structural complexity of a program different from the computational complexity? The structural complexity of a program defines an upper bound on the number of independent paths in a program. So we are interested in finding out the independent paths in a program. So if we are given a control flow graph, or we can make a control flow graph of a program, the structural complexity can be easily computed by the number of edges minus the number of nodes plus 2, where n is the number of nodes and in the control graph e is the number of edges. Then write a C function for searching an integer value from a large sorted sequence of integer values stored in an array of 100 using the binary search method. You can build the control flow graph, design a test suite, and how is software complexity used in designing test suite for path coverage. Now this is a question which is already being answered in the theory session, so I'll leave this as an exercise for you. Eighth, give a software product and its requirement specification document or SRS. Explain how would you design the system's test suite or suites for the software product. The functional test suite can be designed by examining the input and output domains of the functional requirement simply. So the performance test suite can be designed by examining the non-functional requirement. Okay. Functional requirement, functional test suite, non-functional requirement, performance test suite. What is coding standard? Identify the problem that might occur if the engineers of an organization do not adhere to any coding standard. Now, nowadays, coding standard has become a vital ingredient of any SDLC. The coding standard, it lists several rules that needs to be followed during coding, such as how to name a variable, how the code should be laid out, and what would be the error return conventions, whether it should be +1, -1 like this, in which case it should come. If no coding standard is adopted or used or employed, the codes may be difficult to understand and of course may not be efficient, as code written using some well-defined coding standards are more efficient. Now we have a question: what is the difference between a coding standard and a coding guideline? There's a difference. So what are these considered important? Why are these considered important in a software development organization? And write down 5 important coding standards and coding guidelines that you would recommend. So first of all, we'll see these coding standards. They are followed compulsorily now. While these coding guidelines, they are just a general suggestion regarding to the coding style to be followed, but leave the actual implementation of these guidelines to the discretion of individual engineers only. They can adopt their own style, but there are certain guidelines. But coding standards, they need to be followed compulsorily. Coding standards, these are the rules for limiting the use of globals, global variables, the content of the header preceding code for different modules, should be, what it should be, and naming convention for the global variable, local variable, and constant identifiers. And error return conventions and the exceptional or any exception or problem handling mechanism. These are given in coding standards. While in coding guidelines, they do not use a coding style. That is, it says that do not use very complex or clever or too difficult to understand coding style. Any obscure side effect needs to be avoided. And coding guidelines says that do not use an identifier for multiple purposes. You cannot say that I'm saving the space. The code should be well documented, and the length of any function should not exceed 10 source lines. And do not use goto statements. These are coding guidelines. Then we have when during the development process is the compliance with the coding standard is checked. When, and list two coding standard, each for enhancing readability of the code and reuse of the code. First is compliance with coding standards is checked after the coding for a module is complete and the module is successfully compiled. The coding standards for enhancing readability would be like this: the contents of the header preceding code for different modules, the naming conventions for global variables, local variables, and constant identifiers, and coding standard for enhancing reuse, the rule for using limiting the use of globals, and the error return conventions, also the exception handling mechanism like try and catch, etc. The 12th is distinguish between software verification and software validation. And when during the software lifecycle are verification and validation performed, can one be used in place of other? And as I suggested, verification is whether you are making a right product, and software validation is whether you are making the product right, and software validation is whether you are making the right product. So we mean by software validation that you are making the right product. That means it should conform to the SRS. While verification means that the output of the one phase should conform to the next phase. So verification means that if you are adding two values, then it should add. But user may have given you to multiply the values. So software verification only checks that addition is correct or not. So software verification, it checks whether the output of one phase conforms to the preceding phase. Output of one phase conforms to the preceding phase. So it is a phase-wise affair. While the software validation, it checks whether the fully functional system conforms to the specification. So verification is performed at the end of every phase, while validation is performed after a fully integrated and working product is ready. Then only we can check that whether the functional or non-functional properties are met. Which one of the following is the strongest structure testing technique? Statement coverage based testing, branch coverage testing, or condition based coverage testing? Justify your answer. The answer is the condition coverage is the strongest structure test technique. Prove the branch coverage testing is stronger than the statement coverage testing. In this question, the answer will come here. So it can be proved by proving that the branch coverage, it ensures the statement coverage. All statements are being covered. But branch coverage, this can detect some errors that cannot be detected using the statement coverage. Okay, it ensures statement coverage, but also it can detect errors that cannot be detected using the statement coverage by itself. So the first part can be proved this far by noting that each statement of a program belongs to some branch. It will always be in some branch. So when a branch coverage is achieved, the statement will be automatically covered. All statement will be automatically visited. And the second part would be that it can be proved by the fact that statement coverage cannot detect errors in a program containing a loop, which manifests only when the loop condition is false. Okay. Then which is the stronger testing, data flow testing or path testing? Give the reason behind your answer. You can answer this. Can you answer this? That which is the stronger testing, data flow testing or path testing? So of course the answer would be. So these are the two testing strategy of your white box. So in data flow testing, what happens that the state or any event that happens, the test cases are designed like that. It will not cover the input output points, while the path testing it covers that also. But data flow testing is the you can have less test cases and you can generate more test on this. So it's up to you which you decide. So I hope that this answers. 16. Briefly highlight the difference between code inspection and code walkthrough. Compare the relative merit of code inspection and code walkthrough. So in contrast to code walkthrough, the aim of code inspection is to discover some common type of errors which are caused by some oversight or improper programming. So code inspection is finding errors. While during code inspection, the code is examined for the presence of certain kind of errors. In code walkthroughs, hand simulation of code execution is done. Okay, in code walkthrough, a hand simulation of code execution is actually done, not the system execution, but the hand simulation. What is meant by code walkthrough? What are some of the important types of errors checked through the code walkthroughs? I hope this question will answer this also. In code walkthrough, each member of a review team it selects some test cases and simulate execution of the code by hand. That is traces execution through each statement and function execution. The main objective of code walkthrough is to discover the algorithm and logical error. While in this code inspection, we try to examine the code in order to find some kind of various different kind of errors. But when the people are handling things with work on paper, then the algorithmic or logic errors may surface out. Answer these. Suppose a branch contain n decision points, each of which has two branches. How many test cases are necessary for branch testing? So the answer for this A is 2n, 2 to the power n cases. Then second is if there are n choices at each decision point, how many test cases are needed for branch testing? For n we have n choices, so that will be m into n test cases. Second is it possible to achieve branch coverage using smaller number of test cases? Then you have answer depending on the branch condition. Justify your answer. Yes, if some branches cannot assume certain logic values, then it is possible to achieve branch coverage using the smaller number of test cases also. C is for a program containing n binary branches, how many test cases are necessary for path coverage? For a program, first we'll answer the study the second part also. For a program containing n numbers of m array branches, how many test cases are necessary for path coverage? So we have n plus 1 test cases, they are needed for the path coverage, as the cyclomatic complexity is n plus 1 because n binary branches are there. And for m array branches, that will be n into n. This is how we do it. Then the question is how many test cases are necessary for path testing in each case? Justify your answer, and this will be given by your cyclomatic complexity only. Then we have question. Usually large software products are tested at 3 different testing levels: unit testing, integration, and system testing. Why not do single thorough testing of the system is developed? That is, detect all the defects of the product during system testing. Now, if there is only one level of testing, then there would be too many places to look for an error, and debugging effort would be very high. And unit testing, integration testing, and system testing, they all offer different kind of errors. Okay, so all these errors cannot be easily found out in a thorough testing. For that, you have to go to these different level of testing. And what do you understand by the term system testing, and what are the different kinds of system testing that are usually performed on a large software products? So system tests are designed to validate a fully developed system to assure that it meets its requirement, that is, it conforms to the SRS requirements. And there are essentially 3 main kind of system testing. First is alpha testing, beta testing, and acceptance testing. In alpha testing, it refers to the system testing carried out by the testing within the development organization itself which is developing. Beta testing is performed by some group of friendly customers, may be at their places. Acceptance testing is the system testing performed by the customer itself to determine whether he should accept the delivery of the system or not. So these were few questions of Dr. Rajiv Mal's books, coding and testing section, and a few more questions are remaining. We'll take it in the next session. Thank you so much. Take care.